joining the call today. Once again, thank you. And for those of us who are not aware, this is an ongoing series on the commercialization process with Josiah Aisen, the CEO and co-founder for iSpace. This has been going on for the past 2 weeks, and on the first week, we spoke on innovation and disclosure. The second week, we spoke on evaluation and protection. And last Tuesday, we had him talk about marketing and partnership. And today, he's going to take us through the funding process of commercialization. We want to just use 2 minutes to wait for a few others to join, and then we'll just continue. But then whilst we wait, kindly put in your name, where you are joining from, and how you got access to the link to this call. You can put that in the chat box whilst we wait for a few others to join in.
Okay, Shanessa, so I'm guessing I can start now, right? Because we have to respect other people's time, for coming in early. We can't penalize people for coming in early by rewarding people that come in late. Is that okay?
All right, Josiah, you can go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And once again, thanks for participating in this series that we're kind of hosting on commercialization, really around how to move from an idea stage to the market, particularly if you already have a product and you're looking for funding. This is some of the stages that you need to go through to do that. So I'm going to then discuss that, and then we can just talk about other things around it. And then also you can share what other tips that you have, that you're using currently, and how is it working, so that other people can learn from it. So in commercialization, rightly looked at the cycle, the 8 pieces, and funding is one of them. Is very, very important, because again, without that, a lot of the things that we want to do, we're not able to do them. So how do we go about it? But then there's different stages of the funding process in commercialization, and we will look at it in that regards. So we start by acknowledging the fact that funding is a critical component of the whole commercialization process, right? But there are various types of funding available to support the development and the launch of a new product or technologies, right? So what you have to understand is, when you're chasing for funds or you're looking for funds, know what stage you're in and why or who you need to approach for that funding. Because a lot of us tend to struggle with raising funds because we want to raise the ultimate number, 10 million, 5 million, and all of those other things, when in reality, we probably in the ideation innovation stage. So then why are you going for 1 million when you should actually be going for 10K, 50K to get that idea onto the market, test it, and then get the information that you need. So this is the whole idea, to break it down for you to see the different formats of funding that you can go for. And, hopefully that helps you whatever stage that you're in. So again, the choice of funding, depends on the nature of the innovation, clearly, the stage of the development, and then specific needs of the commercialization project, right? So again, the choice of funding will depend on the nature of the innovation that you have. Not everybody is creating something that is tech heavy or tech focused. Some of you are creating things that is tech enabled, but not tech focused. So the money that you need would not be the same as somebody that's doing something that is tech enabled. And some of you are also doing product based that do not necessarily have technology. When we talk about technology, we're talking about an app or whatever here, not the process itself. See, so all of that would require different amount of funding. So what would they look like, right? And now these funding comes in different formats. So the choice of funding will depend on the sector or many factors in the stage of your development, right? The amount of capital that will require, the level of risk, the entrepreneur's preference, right? And then common factors is how you can even combine certain funding supports, right? Because each funding stage comes with different advantages and requirements and things that you need to consider. So, you know, the types of funding, when you look at bootstrapping, I will explain what that is. Then you look at the crowdfunding, I will explain that what that is. Then you look at angel investors, and then you look at the venture capital. And then on the right-hand side, you're looking at government grants, bank loans, corporate, and then private equity. Because of the nature of the individuals that I'm dealing with, as in those of you on the call right now, we will look at the bootstrapping, the crowdfunding, the angel investors, and venture capital, more so than anything else. But you will realize that the government funding and grants tend to sit also in between the bootstrapping, the crowdfunding stage, right? See, because a lot of you that have worked with or attended innovation hubs, you tend to pitch, you get money, grants, it works that way. But in between you bootstrapping or crowdfunding, that's where the space is. But for this series, we are looking at the main four: the bootstrapping, crowdfunding, angel investor, and venture capital is what we're going to look at. Now, let's start with bootstrapping. What does that actually mean, right? So this is the method of you funding your startup or innovation without relying on external investment or loans. This involves you using your own resources and generating revenues from your business to support the growth and development. Bootstrapping can be an effective way for you to fund the development of a prototype or an MVP, especially in the early stage of your project. See, so if you are right now don't have, you know, a sweet uncle or auntie that will give you $10,000 and all of those other things, and you are literally working full-time or part-time and using some of the money that you save to then put back into your business and just keep grinding, as they say, that's what you're doing. You're bootstrapping. You are literally making sure that nobody else is investing in your business. You are the one putting on your own funds. You sell some of your product and you reinvest. So there's so many ways around it. So in this case, you're using your personal savings, right? You can use that to build your prototype, your app, or whatever the case may be. Depending on what country you're in and how tech savvy you are, it will be affordable for you to do that. So you use your own personal savings. Now, what we call sweat equity is the, you know, the flesh that you put in, your sweat that you put in. So you invest your time, your skills into developing the particular product or prototype or whatever the case may be. So if, let's say, you wanted to develop an app, and I'm using an app here, and you can't afford it, but then you went to Coursera, you learn how to develop the app, and then you put your time and effort and everything else into creating it. That's what you're doing. You're putting your sweat into your equity. That's pretty much what you're doing, right? Or you can work on somebody's project. When they pay you, you then use the money to do the thing. Or you can work with somebody and then say, okay, I will do this for you if you do that for me. So you're using sweat equity, right? Like skin in the game. That's what you're doing, really. Or some of you that are, I won't use the word smart enough, but some of you that have products already or are very good at selling, you can sell a product even before it comes to market, right? So you tell people that, okay, if you order 50 or 60 bottles of, let's say, oils from me, okay, give me X and then I'll deliver it to you. So then when they gave you, let's say, 1,000 cities, you use that money to then actually go and create a product for them. So you're pre-selling your idea. So you're saying, I do X, I need Y in order for me to give you Z. So that's one of the ways to also go about it. Then we talk about crowdfunding, which is its own way. We will talk about it individually. And then you should take advantage of accelerators and incubators. And there are loads of accelerators and incubators in Ghana right now. Depending on what region you are, at least you have 2 or 3 in there. Currently, we have over 63 hubs spread across the various regions. And if you are not sure whether you have a hub in your region, reach out to me and I'll get you in contact with organizations that will tell you whether there's a hub in your region or not, right? So even though bootstrapping can be a very challenging approach to commercialization, it will require a lot of financial management, creativity, and focus on sustaining your business model, right? However, it gives you a lot of control that other people that got early investment don't have. So this way, you're not given equity, you're actually in control of your production, your development, your revenue, everything. You're still in charge of your company. However, that offset is the fact that you're not getting enough money, you're not getting enough support for you to do that. But bootstrapping is another way to go around it. Now, the other way is where we talk about crowdfunding, right? So this is a method of raising capital or funds for a project idea or venture by obtaining small amount of money from a large number of people, typically via online platforms, right? See, so reward-based crowdfunding where you literally reward people, right? In exchange for them to support you, right? So it could be a case of, if you give me whatever, you might get X tickets, or you'll be the first people to use the product or whatever. That kind of reward system that you give people. And then the equity crowdfunding, investors then will receive shares or equity in the company in exchange for the investment. Donor-based contributions are made without expectations of financial rewards or anything, right? Now, we've seen a lot of, I hate to use the word, a lot of 419 type situations. Typical example of another approach to this crowdfunding thing was when the whole, what do you call it, #1 situation happened with the fact that he told people, yes, you can buy a coupon, pay X amount of money for the coupon, then we verify you, right? And then after verification, we will let you know if you're eligible. And if you're eligible, we will pay your money in 2025 or whatever. He was using the whole crowdfunding approach, because then what you're doing is you telling people, if you buy this coupon for 650 Ghana cedis, right, then you get verification, then you will know that if you're eligible. See, so if, let's say, 1 million people went and bought the coupon, he's been able to raise close enough to 650 million Ghana cedis or whatever, then he can use that money to then do what? Pay people. So that was another crowdfunding approach that he used, right? Now, is it ethical? No. But is it a method to raise funds? Yes. So you have to then ensure that when you're doing crowdfunding, you're doing it from an ethical point of view. Whatever it is that you promise people, you have to deliver, right? So there are platforms that you can use to generate this part of strategy from, right? GoFundMe, Indigo, there's so many that are out there. Now, the question is, are they available in Ghana, right? Do they allow you to use their platform in Ghana? So you have the likes of Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or Indigo, but then depending on how you pronounce it. But again, and then GoFundMe, you have Crowdfunder itself, you had Seeders. There's so many. Now, you have to understand that some of these guys are not, are regional specific. See, so if they're not in your region, then you can't use it. But there are other, I think, African-based platforms that you can use. So crowdfunding is another approach to this particular method to do that. Now, you can crowdfund really to test your marketing strategies, because that's an easy way of raising money. You can use that to do, again, marketing exposure. You can use that to do a lot of your, when you're in the concept development stage, right? So proof of concept and all of those other things, those are the things that you can use crowdfunding for. You can't use crowdfunding really to scale your business to Kenya and all of those other things. You can use crowdfunding for you to, test out a proof of concept, to develop a small MVP or whatever the case may be. So depending on where you are, this is where crowdfunding comes in, because you're using it to launch a small feature of a bigger product, not the bigger product itself, right? You've got people that even in the creative industry, they use crowdfunding to then raise money to then, film a particular movie or whatever. And then how they reward people would be, you'd be one of the first people to meet the stars, you can have dinner with the stars, or you'd be one of the first people to see the movie. All of those things are reward systems that they give you if you do crowdfunding. And now I want to show you a quick video of what one actually looks like, right? And bear with me. Let me see. So hopefully it should play in your
Hundreds of years of history destroyed needlessly every day to become a new car. Old steel is easily scrapped and recycled. But what I'm talking about is railroad rail. It's the steel that built this country. It was mined from the earth and it was rolled in the foundries by men like my grandfather in places like Pennsylvania and Illinois.
And in Alabama and Tennessee. It carries the names of Carnegie, Tennessee Coal and Iron, and dates back to 1898. This is the steel that the first steam trains drove across. It opened up the frontiers and took us on great adventures. In 1900, there were 193,000 miles of railroad tracks across the U.S. And while a small portion of that remains, much of it is already gone, simply worn out or replaced with new and larger rail. And before we send off all of our history to be remade, we'd like to preserve some of it.
And that's where you and Kickstarter come in to help us out with our Rails to iPad platform. We're Robert and Rob from Railyard Studios. The supports on our Rails to iPad platform are made from slices of century-old rail that clearly show the wear of a century of use. Every piece of steel tells its own stories. This little lip is called flow. That's where the head of the rail has been worn by 100 years of trains running over it. This one even has a vertical split head defect in it.
We've had a lot of fun making large pieces of custom furniture up to this point, but surprisingly, it's the small products that are more challenging. Railroad was built for big industries, so it takes a lot of work to get the rail down to smaller, more manageable pieces for a product like this iPad platform. The cross ties we'll use are seconds, or culls as they're called in the tie business. These are ties that won't make the grade at the tie plant, and they don't treat them, and they set them aside to be burned in the furnace. They have great imperfections like knots and bark seam that often gets integrated into our designs. All our iPad platforms will use hardwood cross tie materials, oak, hickory, beech, elm, walnut, and maple.
We need your help in bringing this project to reality. We'd like to put in some other equipment to allow us to more effectively clean the small pieces of rails that go onto the iPad platform. It's just too time consuming the way that we do it today. We've put together some great incentives for you. Tell them about it.
For $99, you can get our Rails to iPad platform. Additionally, we've created 3 options at which you can back us at a higher level that would include a wedge wine rack, one of our triangle coffee tables, and even one of our switch point desks.
Thank you for your support. We hope that you'll be a part of it, and we hope you get on board. I had to throw the train analogy in there. Sorry, I couldn't help it. Thank you for your support. We really hope that you'll, what did I say? Hell, I don't remember.
Thank you for backing our Kickstarter project.
Oh, thank you for backing our Kickstarter project. That works.
Okay. Okay, so you can still see my screen, correct? Shanessa, you can see my screen, yeah?
Yes, please. We can see you.
Okay. So what you just noticed is the fact that one of the most important thing about whole crowdfunding is you tell a story, right? They pinpointed a story that kind of makes people feel connected, because all they were selling was just an iPad holder and old railways that you can, people not using anymore, but they turn it into something else. But they told the story of the American Revolution, right? And how people now, then you think about people that have that story that are 80, 90, 70 years, probably 101, that told these kind of stories to their grandchildren. So now they are attached to that particular story. So they feel like, oh no, we need to then ensure to be part of that history. What are we going to do? We're going to then buy that particular product, right? And then support them from keeping the history alive. See, so when you're going to do the crowdfunding, you need to tell a story. You need to let people buy into what it is that you're doing and make it fun. Reward people with things, and then you're able to raise money. And then in this case, they don't have to give equity to anybody. All they did was just reward people with one or two things. So if you intend to go to, use that route to do something, these are some of the ways in which you go about doing it. So then we can move on to the angel investor side. 1 second. Okay, so now you can clearly see the angel investor slide, right?
Yes, please, we can see it now.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, cool. So now the angel investor, and please, I always make this joke, so, pardon me for making this joke. Just because you have the word angel in it doesn't mean that they're good people, because the devil was once an angel too. Okay, there are people that will invest in your business. Some of them, the good ones, will not want anything in return. The others will want something in return based on the timelines in which you give them, right? See, so before you approach an angel investor, ask yourself, what stage are you in your commercialization phase for you to go and approach an angel investor? Because it says angel investors play a pivotal role in the commercialization process of a new product, technology, or innovation. Their financial support or expertise can help bridge the gap between the development stage. See, the key operative words here are development stage and the market entry. See, so the development stage and market entry, right? Before you get into the market. This is where you talk to angel investors. So you're looking at early stage funding. They will provide like critical funding, particularly at the early stage, right? For you to do things like market research, your go-to-market strategies like events, pop-up shops, all of those things are things that you need to approach an angel investor for. So angel investors are people that you will look at as friends and families and people that have money that will invest and say, you know what, we will give you 50,000 Ghana cedis for you to invest in your business. At the end of the year, I want this amount of money in return, or because I love you and whatnot, I want you to be able to do what? Start up your business, right? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you, but your voice is far away.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I get this echo drops. See, so in this case, that's what an angel investor is going to do, right? When you approach them with to get funding from them, you're looking at it from the fact that you're in the development stage and your market entry stage, right? So what you need the money for? You need the money for you to then do your go-to-market strategy. So a few events here and there, that kind of thing, right? You use the money for market validation. So literally you're using their money to ensure that the product or service that you say you bring into the market will respond to it. You're not really using it to expand or scale. So whatever you promise them, you have to be mindful of it. Don't go and promise them, $2-3 million in return for somebody that gave you 50,000 Ghana cedis. Because what you're doing is you're using their money really for market validation, not scale, not any of those things, right? Because the insights that you're trying to get is really, you're using their money to look at your product positioning, pricing, test your sales channels, build brand credibility. All of these things are things that you're going to use their monies for, right? So I would say, while angel investors can be an instrumental part of your commercialization stage, right, it's very essential that you align with the right angel, their vision and their values. Because if it's somebody that wants to do a pack, as we say, if you get their money, it will be stressful, right? Because they need their return as quickly as possible. So you need somebody that aligns with you. You need somebody that definitely understands what it is that you're doing. They share the same values and everything else is okay. And then sometimes as well, they can give you access to resources, right? They might also provide facilities. So if you're particularly into creating products, look for angel or investors that have facilities. They probably have warehouses, or they're very well connected in the industry, so they can give you some few leverage on distribution channels and all of these other things, because there's a major difference between angel investors and venture capitalists. Now, in this, an angel investor is a person that you probably have a personal relationship with, somebody that you might know. And venture capital, normally, hedge fund managers, that somebody gave your money to them for them to invest. See, so the relationships are not exactly the same as an angel investor would be. So an angel investor is not only somebody that is going to give you money, you should also look at resources that you can gain from the person. So look at it from your sector point of view. Who is who, what do they have, who are they connected to, in order for you to then try and see if they can be the right people to invest in your business at that particular stage where you are in your development and market entry stage. But make sure that you align with them from the values and goals perspective, right? Make sure your vision and your values and your goals align. Otherwise, you might have a problem. Then we look at the big head itself. The big head itself here is where we talk about the venture capital, right? Which is commonly sought after in the initial angel investment stage, when it says your innovation is ready for rapid growth and market expansion. So you go and seek venture capital when your innovation / your product / your service is ready for rapid growth and market expansion. So you need to scale. This is where you go seek big money, right? So the venture capital here to scalable funding is then enabling you to then move to the next level in the stage that you're in. You want to expand your market. So that's the reason why you go and speak to them. You speak to them because you want to broaden your customer base. You want to execute huge, market strategies. That's when you go to an angel investor. Or if you want to do talent acquisition, so you want to hire big developers, much more knowledgeable developers into your organization to build on your technology that you have, depending on what it is you're doing. If you want to do market and sales, all of these things are things that you need to seek venture capitalists for. So, scaling your operations when you wanted to move to another country, you want to go to another city, another town, or whatever. You want to expand your customer base, logistics, everything is when you go to these guys, right? So for technology development, you can go to them because you need a lot of money, to buy the cloud-based, if you're using cloud-based technology, you need space, so you need money. All of these things are things that you can go to them about. These are the guys that you go to for millions. So for technology development, your product development, these are the stages that you need to be when you're talking to a venture capital. So when you look at it, again, we look at it from the point of view, the stages of funding, right? So your pre-seed, which is when you're in the proof of concept or prototype stage, or even hiring 1 or 2 people. So ideally, typically you will go for $10,000 all the way down to $1 million, right? Now, why limit yourself, you might say? If you then go and get 50 million, 100 million, you will get a problem. Recently, we've heard a situation of a startup who raised close enough to about $90 million in 5 years, and then they end up still closing shop and still had nothing to show for it, because then they expanded into markets that they were not supposed to expand into, because they didn't probably even have a product, or they were not ready technology-wise and customer base-wise, so then the company folded. Now, the next stage from your pre-seed is you go to Series A, which is the revenue growth, right? Development, operations, branding, marketing, etc. You're in the $10 million phase. Then when you go to Series B, which is growth, right? You hiring, top-notch people in your company. You want to expand your market. You want to buy other businesses, right? Sometimes you have to buy your competition. So let's say if you sell, let's say oils and all of these other things, but then you've got some competitors that you feel, you know what, they're not doing so well, but they're your competitors. They're in the market that you would like to reach, you will buy them. What goes with that is their store, their customer base, and all of those kind of stuff. So if you want to go into that space, you're looking like 15 to 25 million brackets. That would be great. And then Series C, which is, you know, when you really want to expand, this is where you want to go into international markets and acquire other businesses. And then all of these other things, this is where you go for the 50 million plus up and down. Now, am I saying that if somebody's giving you 20 million at your pre-seed, you shouldn't take it? No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is be very careful when you evaluate, you value your company, right? So anytime you go to evaluation, make sure you know exactly where you are and then the amount of money that you're going to ask for, right? Because if you get more than you need, sometimes you end up closing your own business because you will collapse. If you get less than what you need, that's also problematic. So you doing a self-audit and knowing exactly where you are in the stage, whether it's pre-seed, Series A, B, C, and so on, will determine how much money you go for. Now, right now, there are organizations that really focus on funding women, right? So I've listed a few here. Not all of them are operating in Africa, so you have to then do your research and find out where they are, you know, whether they are regional specific or sector specific. You have to think about all of these. So when you look at people like Golden Seeds, right, they will fund, what do you call it? They put angel investment into groups of women in the US, but I'm sure they do also do things in Africa, mainly for early stage companies that cuts across various businesses, right? And then, you know, the female funders fund, which again, sectors, the e-commerce, the consumer tech, you know, software as a service. So the, you know, if you're one of those people that build software as a service, again, they're the ones that you can approach. Then you go Rethink Impact, which is a venture capital fund that supports gender diverse technical tech companies, right, that are focused on social impact. So again, if you're looking at social impact areas such as healthcare, education, things like sustainability, environment, and all of these, look at Rethink. They're the ones, but they focus on women a lot. So for women entrepreneurs online here, these are some of the organizations that you can look at. You've got BBG Ventures. Again, they also provide mentorship and funding for women. So this is somewhere that you need to look at. We've got Women's Venture Capital Fund. Again, they also look at tech-led companies that I would say are funded by women. They also part of the people that you can look at. Then I think there's Pipeline Angels. They also, you know, an organization that you can look at. This particular organization, they support, I would say, they're very social minded. So they're trying to make sure that you also support everybody, right? So you don't discriminate. So some of these organizations, before you go to them, this is why I talked about your values alignment. Before you go to them, make sure that you align, because they might ask you to employ you know, gay people, people from the LGBT community and all that. So if you do not support that, don't go for investment from them, right? It's not, if it doesn't align with your values, you shouldn't do that. So if it aligns with your values, then yes, these are the organizations that you can approach for funding and in that regard. So for the females here, or should I say for the women here, these are some of the organizations that you can approach. Now, yes, in everything that I do, there's always going to be some form of a canvas that goes with that, right? And in fundraising, you have to be strategic. And in every single time you do anything strategic, there is a plan. A plan is a canvas so that you have to lay out bare for you to be able to follow bit by bit, right? So you start with your why. Why do you exist, right? What is our purpose and reasoning for being? Because it's all part of your pitch deck. You have to have this kind of information in it. How do you do it, right? Our values and things that makes us special. This is where we talk about your unique selling point, your business model, and all of those other things. Then you have to ask yourself the question, what product or service or solution do we offer, right? So what is it? What is it that you're doing? What is your solution? What is it? You have to clearly define that. Then you need to perform an internal and external analysis. Internal, mainly looking at where you are, right? What stage are you in? What are you trying to achieve? And all of these things, do you have the mechanisms for you to be able to do that? Do you have somebody that can do fundraising internally? If you don't, then you need to reach out to somebody externally. So externally, you're looking at future trends. You're looking at how is the fundraising market really in Ghana? What is the fundraising market like? Who are the kind of organizations that actually support? So you have to do the whole SWOT analysis of yourself and then look at different funding mix. And this is where I talked about whether you're going to do your bootstrapping, whether you're going to look at crowdfunding, whether you're going to look at angel investors or venture capital. How are you going to mix all of these things, right? You have to think about it. And then you look at your key strategies. Where do we want to be, right? And how are we going to mobilize the resources that we have? So, and then things like your key indicators, how are you going to indicate what your success stories will be? So key strategies that you need to, lay there. How are we going to do what it is that we need to do? How are we going to mobilize the resources that we have in order for us to meet the investors or potential funders that we're looking at? And then target your donors, right? You see how on this particular canvas, you have target donors. It's similar to your customer segments, right? So here you're targeting donors. So you need to list all the donors that you need to target, right? The ones that you will love, the ones that actually love ideas, the ones that will only fund products, MVPs, so who are they? So you need to perform a donor mapping matrix, right? In a nutshell, a whole donor mapping canvas that you need to have. So you have to map out who the donors are, where they are, what they fund, who was the last person they funded, why they funded the person. You have to do all of this work, right? And again, you have to then also develop your value proposition, not to your customer, but your value proposition to the potential donor that you're looking at. Now, depending on the kind of marketing mix, the funding mix that you're going for, your value proposition will be different. Because from a crowdfunding point of view, people just want memorabilia, they just want to meet the founder. So that is a different proposition that you're giving them. That's a different value that you're giving them. If you go for the angel or the venture capital, they might want equity, they might want return on investment. So again, the value proposition that you're giving them is different. So based on your funding mix, your value proposition has to be different. So that's why you look at your value proposition where we talked about what are we going to offer? Is it a financial benefit? Is it an emotional benefit? Is it a physical benefit? How meaningful is it? Some people judge benefit from a meaningful point of view / spiritual point of view. You don't know. How are you going to give that value? And then channels here. How will we reach them? Right? And how will we get the attention? So the channels here is looking at your potential donors or investors. It's not looking at your customers. And sometimes your customers can actually also be your investors when you talk about the crowdfunded, because if they love your product, your first product that you made, and now you want to bring a new feature in, you can actually talk to your customers and then they will fund you that way. Then key activities, what you will need to do or say to get the attention of your potential funders or donors. And here is where the video idea comes in. So you might end up creating a video, let it be emotional, let it be funny, whatever it is, you're telling a story. I don't know. So let's say, and pardon me from using the oils again. So if you wanted to do the oils, you tell a story of somebody that probably didn't have beard and it was affecting their self-confidence, and after they use your beard, all of a sudden they join the beard gang, they got their confidence, and God knows whatever the case may be, you're telling a story from the beginning. Some people just attach themselves to it, and then they'll be like, so if I need to have my confidence, if I buy this product and I use it within 2 weeks, I will be the choice for the ladies. I don't know, I'm just saying. Whatever it is, how are you going to get the attention of the potential people that you're talking to, right? And then your cost. And you notice that in all the canvases, the cost and the revenue are always at the bottom because everything sits on top of it. So the cost here is, the staff that you're going to hire, how much investment that you're going to need, what assets you already have, what other things that you're going to buy, the cost of the video, all of these things are costs that you have to think about. And then the revenue, again, where would the money come from, right? In order for you to offset everything else you want to do, because if you want to do the videos and everything else, you would need revenue. So what does that mean? How will we make the revenue? And then all of those other things that goes with it. See, so there is a canvas that you can use in order for you to then raise the funds. So it helps you determine how you need to target your donors, the value proposition determined on the donors, the channels that you're going to use to engage the donors, the key activities that you have to participate in, and then other strategies that you need to use, right? So if it's using ambassadors and all of those other things, use it, right? In order for you to talk about your particular campaign or whatever that you want to embark on and raise money, and then need to perform the internal and external analysis of your organization to determine where you are, how are you going to get this money, and who are you going to get this money from. So all of these things are things that you have to bear in mind, that in your funding process, in bringing your product to the market, there are different stages of funding as well. And the funding goes according to the stage that you found or you find yourself. You either bootstrap it, or you're doing crowdfunding, or you're doing angel investor, or you're doing venture capital, all in stages. I'm not saying it's linear. It's not always linear. There's going to be a time where you can do one before the other. But the most important thing is knowing the stage that you're in will determine how you approach it. So with that said, I would stop the presentation, and then I welcome any questions that you have. And thank you for your time and your listening ear as well.
Thank you, Josiah. I think somebody's hand is already up. Abdul, please, you can go ahead.
Always I always begin thank you for
Abdul, I think you have a network issue, so we can't hear. It's breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. I'm saying that at always
Oh, unfortunately, it's breaking again. Would you be able to type the question into the chat box?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. I say, as always, as you do, I appreciate you for the knowledge you share. And I, for one, join every week because I learn a lot of new things all the time. And I appreciate you and your team.
I appreciate you too, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So my question is, I'm having I have a barbering salon and I'm opening a new one. And this very one, a friend of mine is traveling to Canada, and then he wanted to sell it out for me. The hairdressing and barbering salon, if we did the costs of it, like, and then it was around 250,000, and she's selling it for me at 140,000. But here I am. I have an asset that I have about 10 tons of iron rod, which costs about 96,000. But I'm not getting the money to buy this particular shop that she's selling. I did analysis of the place. I stayed there for about 2 months, and every month we're able to make like 10,000 a month with the hairdressing and then the barbering salon. But here's the case: I want to buy this thing, but I've invested my money in so many places, and I need funds to get this thing done. Any organizations are able to do this? How will I go about this? Because this person has gone to Canada now, and if I don't make a smart move, someone else will go and buy it. And I thought that he's going to give me an opportunity as a friend to get it. And I think it's a great opportunity to add up to my business. So I will just ask him this, how, since we are discussing this, how will I get this thing done? And is there any way, is there any finding opportunity somewhere that I can get it then there's a term that I have to pay, or in a way which I have an asset which I can pay. I have a land at the mountains which I can use to do this. So I'm just taking from you or any other person who is on the call who can be of help for me to get this fund, to get this thing sorted out. Then I'll find a way to pay back, because the assets and then the land are all there, which I can get to pay back in due time.
I mean,
Thank you.
Great question, and you have a beautiful problem, right? So a beautiful challenge in that sense. So from the little that I know, particularly with that side of funding, is if because you have an asset that can be quantified and land that can be also quantified and everything else, usually if you have the documents and everything else to show that you own the things, you can use that as collateral for a loan, right? Either at a bank, and then say in 3 months, if you loan me this money, I'm then going to be able to pay back the money in 3 months. If I don't, then you can sell this asset to then offset whatever it is that I owe you. Right now, the danger here, though, what I need to know is, you mentioned 10,000 cities every month. Is that profit or revenue?
That's revenue that will come. So that's revenue. Revenue as in the revenue that generates every month. It's not a profit, but it's a revenue that come in. But most often than not, it's like the barbers do their work and the hairdresser do their work. So whatever money comes in, virtually is about 80% of the money becomes how do you call it, profit. The rest will be just something that somebody has to pay for or servicing for the place.
Right. See, so in this case, and because you have the assets that you can use as collateral as well, you can show from financial projections that you are making revenue X every month, and what is used for and everything else. So you can then put all of that information together and approach either a loan facility granting organization or a bank. With what you want, you can't get investment from, let's say, an NGO type situations, because it's for profit. See, so they're not going to fund you in that direction. So in this case, it's usually the the banks and loan facilities that you can approach. However, I'm sure there are creative industry organizations that will probably partner with you for them to then invest in that space. I'm yet to find one in Ghana though, but what I do know that for your beautiful problem that you have assets and then also prove that you're generating revenue. So if you were able to put your financial documents together, you either approach a bank or a loan facility to do that. Hope that answered your question, Abdul.
Yes, Josiah, I think that I approached EcoBank and I approached other banks as well, and they said that I need to have an operating business account. I have one with GCB Bank, but they are saying now, because of the economic system and things, they're not ready to do it now, which I'm not so happy about them, because my banking, my how do you call it, my business account is with them, and I've been struggling to get this fund. But EcoBank said I need to have an account with them, and I don't. And then the Zenith Bank also say that I have a personal account, savings account, but if it's a business account I've run for about 6 months, they can be able to do that. So I've done that. I've not gotten to the savings and loan yet, and I don't know. I've been thinking about this, and I'm opening out a new pharmacy, and I need money to also do that. These are things that I'm working on to get, because my revenue I have from my other shops will not be able to take care of this immediate need, and I need to get this thing done, and I've been thinking about it. But how that you said, I've done the approach.
Have you thought about partnerships? Have you thought about partnerships where you partner?
I have. I'm just looking for all opportunity. That's what I brought it here. Any way that will make me get the fund to be able to get it done, I don't mind. I don't mind, but I need to get this thing done, because the person can sell it anytime, but it's at a very prime area in Medina, which people come in, troop in here and there. And I've done the visibility studies, and I know that it's a viable business, which I think if I get myself into it, to be another profit, or to be another business which I can add up to my 5 business I already have.
See, so what we could do is you get my number from Shinesa, right? Let's talk offline, because we could be here all day. Let's talk offline and then see possible ways around this thing. Okay?
Yeah. I'll send you an email and then requesting for the templates for the contract. But if you maybe respond to the mail, you can give me your number in there, then I can call you.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I don't have anybody's number in iSpace unless I go to the page.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get I'll tell Shinesa to send my number to you so you can WhatsApp me as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Nice one. Frederick, I think.
Hello, Joe. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, my question has to do with I'm in the manufacturing space, and most of the funding that we come across, like before you ended the submission, you're talking about women-led businesses. I happen to be in the cosmetic manufacturing space. And I'm seeing over time you do go to programs, but you see it's quite difficult getting funding for manufacturing businesses, small manufacturing businesses. In my case, we've been around for some time. We have our approvals, and then we want to scale, but we are limited. And you also know the financial situation in the country now. The banks, the rates they are offering, it's not sustainable to us. So my question is, which organizations are in to support manufacturing businesses that we can link up with them to be able to get the funding to increase our production and also help to sustain the business? That's my question.
Okay, so let me see. Thank you for that question. And I'm sure they're definitely going to kill me for this, but they will be the one of the major ones that you need to speak to will be NEIP, right? Because they will know a lot of the other organizations that will fund people in the manufacturing space. So NEIP will be the ones that definitely approach, because aside from the fact that they also fund other small, small to medium scale organizations, they also refer people to other funding organizations. So NEIP are the ones that I will definitely vouch for, and then say they're the ones that you can definitely talk to. You have Gates Foundation, but I don't think they will fund, depending on the manufacturing space that you're in, right? So I don't think that they'll fund something in your space. And again, when it's manufacturing, what type of manufacturing you're doing would then determine the kind of people that you might end up approaching. But NEIP will be the first bet for you to do that first, and then they can point you in the right direction with other organizations that you can do that in. Did that help you in any way?
Yes, yes, please. I'll do check on them. We are into the cosmetics manufacturing sector. That's why we produce organic cosmetics. We use tomatoes to produce soap, which is actually a way to help keep down the waste in the tomatoes that is produced. That we have always have gluten in the system. So that's what we
There's a
basically
social
do.
impact. Again, you see, this is what I'm saying. In this case, there's a social impact. If you're employing people from marginalized backgrounds and all of these other things, and the innovation that you're using is innovative enough, the likes of the Gates Foundation and Ford Foundation, all of these organizations will fund something like this, right? Because it has a social impact element to it. See, so this is where I talked about knowing, performing that analysis. What are you? What are you selling? Right? Because when you tell me you're a manufacturing company, I automatically think totally differently. But your storytelling is important here, because the way you talked about turning tomato waste into soap and all of those others, that's recycling. That is environmental. So then automatically the story will change. How you see yourself will automatically change. And then you sell the story. That will then open up the market for you to attract other potential investors who are interested in people to do climate stuff, people to do social impact type products. See, so how you define yourself is very, very important, because you just said manufacturing. So I'm just thinking, you just do, bricks, block or whatever, and then you sell. From that point of view, it's like, okay, who am I going to introduce you to? But then if you say, this is who we are, this is what we do, we are in this sector in climate or whatever, it changes the narrative. So storytelling is very, very important when you're raising funds. See, so again, this is something that we run classes on. So again, if that comes up, and since you're in our database, you will know about it, you can join that class on how to frame your narrative in order for you to make yourself attractive enough for potential funders. Frederick, did that help?
Yes, it did help. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think I'll send you an email.
Okay.
I think I'll send an email so that you guide me through this process.
Yes. Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Me. He has his hand up, right?
Yeah, Nee can go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'd like to commend you so much for the trainings you offer. I've been to a number of accelerating and capacity building training, and I can tell you for a fact they don't teach the stuff you do. So I'm really grateful for all this knowledge you're sharing with us. Yeah. So you answered the first part of my question with the previous with Frederick's Desundo, but during your presentation, you said pre-seed funding is usually between $10K to $1 million in investment, and I'm trying to understand if that's I'm trying to understand if within Ghana, within the Ghanaian space, it's quite feasible for startups to raise, for pre-seed startups to even raise $100,000 locally, and if it is, if you know of any success stories that you could also share with us to learn from, and some of the organizations that probably some of the companies or organizations that have funded this pre-seed, this local startups as well at the pre-seed stage. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that question. So generically, the pre-seed document that you saw that says between 10K to $1 million. So let's bring it home in that regard. So if you're looking at, let's say, 100,000 Ghana cedis all the way down to 5 million, 10 million Ghana cedis or whatever. Now, there are organizations in Ghana that have been able to raise that. So Mikasa and all of these other people were able to raise that money because they went through an incubator program with MEST. And then through that connection, they were able to raise money. We as iSpace have also helped some other startups. There's one called Safi Label, which was a creative label, fashion design label that we then helped them raise, I think it was 65,000 euros, right? That was equity free and everything else for their business, right? Now, some of these organizations that you can also speak to would be Wangara Venture. And again, those of you that have my contacts, contact me and I'll give you a couple of names. I know Nelson will kill me for, giving his contact out like that, but I'll warn him first before you people call him. So he, well, with Wangara Ventures, they also do support startups. He's raised a lot of money locally for startups. So he's one person that, if you're looking for investment around the 10K to the $100K stage, he's definitely capable of doing that for you. He's very, demanding in how he does things, and rightly so. So yeah, Nelson was somebody that I would love to introduce. I can't put his number on, in the chat, but if you're in the stage where you want to approach somebody like that, reach out to me. I will then guide you through how to put your pitch deck or even your problem and solution storyline together before you approach him, because I don't want to just, hand you over to somebody just like that, because my credibility is also on the line. So yeah, somebody like Nelson, I can introduce you to from Wangara. And then other programs that accelerator programs do have, there is funding attached to them, or there's a funding link one way or the other. So I would say look out for accelerator programs or accelerators generally. They are the ones that do kind of help you with the pre-stage funding. And a lot of the pre-stage funding can be from grants. And please, I know in Ghana right now, people are trying to say, oh, we have a lot of people that just go for grants and they don't do whatever they do. Do not be discouraged, right? In life, there's always going to be people that do the right thing and people that do the wrong thing. Focus on doing the right thing. See, so attend programs, do the pitches. Through those pitches, you're able to get your 10K, your 5K, your 100K in that manner. See, so those are some of the ways in which you can use to then raise funds. See, so if you're not part of a hub, please search for hubs in your region and participate in their community programs, because they get a lot of information on funding agencies that will fund you from the bootstrapping stage all the way down to your crowdfunding and maybe your angel investor stage, right? There's funding there, but you have to be part of the community for that to happen. Did that answer your question?
Yes, please. It was quite helpful. Thank you. But I'll still have to come and see you, so we discuss
Yes.
more of that.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks for the feedback as well. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. I think those are just the hands we have for today. There is a link for a feedback in the chat box. Kindly help us fill. And then we would want to put on our cameras so that we can take a quick photo. So kindly put on your cameras whilst we take a quick photo. Yeah.
Oh, iPhone X. You can ask your question. Ask your question. The person with the iPhone X, please ask your question. The guests with iPhone X, don't feel shy. Kindly ask your question. I think she's shy. Somebody else has got their hands up, Shinesta.
Dixon, you can go ahead. Hi, Dixon, you can ask your question, please.
Okay, I think Dixon's probably shy now. And then iPhone X is now shy. Lord.
Anyway, Fafa, please, are you ready? We are ready.
Yes, I am.
All right, over to you.
I'm done. Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you, everyone. I think Tuesday will be the last series on this thing, and then we will put together a whole summary of everything else that we talked about, and then share with you, because I wanted to do it as a booklet rather than just a series of slides, so that you can have it and then work on it and all those other things. So looking forward to engaging with you. I'm always available to talk to you through your project, whether you are in the ideation stage all the way to trying to raise funds. If you are looking to put your pitch deck together, kindly reach out to me. I'm happy to work with you on, putting your pitch deck together, because again, you win, we win, and making sure that raising funds is difficult, it's tough, but then it's something that is possible to do. So happy to help, and I really appreciate every single one of you, joining in during the week in, week out, and exchanging knowledge. And I really, really appreciate your time and effort. So if you need my assistance on anything, kindly reach out and let me know, and then we see what we can do together. Okay. So be safe.
Just say who's reaching out to me, please.
Shanessa will reach out to you to give my contacts to you.
Okay, should I put my number on the chat box so they have the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, if people start calling you on the side, don't blame you.
You can put it in the chat box, and you can also fill the feedback because it has a space.
Feedback form and then push
I've
it.
done the feedback a couple of times. The previous one I did.
All right.
So
all
my
right.
contact is in there.
It's in there. Okay, so I see.
And Josiah, please, I've sent you an email the last time we met, but I've not gotten the feedback from you. So please, can you look at it?
I'll do that. I apologize for that, but I'll do that and then get back to you.
Okay, I've sent my number to the chat box now. So
All right, nice one.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Just take
Yeah.
a few minutes to fill the feedback form if you haven't, and then we'll meet on Tuesday. Have a good afternoon.
Put 2 numbers in there. Kindly take a note of those numbers and then we'll do that.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you all.
Great day.
Thank you.